HBO Def Poet, native of Rochester, New York. He's a writer, activist, educator. He's been writing since he was 12. His poetry is the voice for the oppressed and has been used many times by organizations like ACLU, Amnesty International, and Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Push Coalition. They have all used Amir's poetry and voice to bring life to multiple campaigns dealing with social justice and art. He says about one of his albums, Dead Men Walking, as a young Muslim black male in America, I feel under attack on many fronts. I can handle being under attack, but it's heartbreaking, at times, to feel as though I have no comrades. Everyone seems oblivious to our war against the prison industrial complex, police, drugs, poverty, and the list goes on. And if they are not oblivious, then their concern does not spur them to action. So much of the album is born out of frustration and desperation. I hope to tear back the comforter of apathy and make us own up to ourselves and our responsibility to our people. A true inspiration for many of us as a young, accomplished poet and performer, but also a soldier for justice in the U.S. He's performed at many schools, colleges, and communities nationwide, but this is his first stop here at the Greater Lansing Islamic Center. So let's give it up for Brother Amir Sulaiman.
Assalamu alaikum, how are you? Okay, mashallah. My name is Amir Sulaiman, as she said. I'm a poet and a recording artist, and I'm going to recite some poems for you. They say the Lord will come like a thief in the night. Perhaps the Lord will come in the things that I write, in the things that we read, in the things that we bleed, in the things we recite. Maybe they're afraid I'll spit fire in these carry-string streets will ignite, or that I'll spit water in these barren streets to give life. And I've learned that the thing that pulls the fiend to the pipe is the same thing that pulls a human being to the light. The love of love, a means to cope. So I try to inhale their dreams and exhale hope. Hope was saying the people either feel it or don't. So you can inhale their dreams and exhale hope, but you gonna chew coca leaves and spit out dope. And that reminded me of a passage in our quotes. A law will not change the condition of a people. It changes the condition is what's within themselves. End quote. Inshallah, I won't falter. Steady rocket Gibraltar, swift traversing waters. Verses I've authored, I offer as a solemn sacrifice upon the altar in order to alter the conditions of our sons and our fathers. And they say we need more black mayors than black lawyers. I say we need more black John Mayers to win Grammys for singing songs about our daughters, because we are caught in a culture of defeatism, worshiping victims and martyrs. We are not victims, but victors. We but witness our honor, our brilliance, our resilience, and our beauty is farther than Pippin Holes, Tricky Dough, Gucci, and Prada. From Side Street to Simpson Road, we are shook in the trauma of terrorism that precedes Al-Qaeda and Osama. Forget Bin Laden, Ben Franklin enslaved my great-great-grandmama, comma, great-great-grandfather, comma, indigenous nations of reservations, comma, but we're caught in the coma, sleep. So the truth will have to come like a thief in the night. But if you're awake, you'll hear it in the things that we write, in the things that we bleed, in the things we recite. Because the truth will come like a thief in the night. Being awake, I've learned, is the meaning of life. All right, any questions, comments, concerns? Everybody's okay? Thanks. Anything else? Okay. All right. Vagabond. How was the sound? That's not part of the poem. How's the sound? How's the sound? Sound okay? Everybody in the back, everyone here it's easy? Yes? Okay. Loneliness keeps me company when I'm alone. And most times that is enough. Often I have no home. The soul's rolling stone, a vagabond, roaming the mind's countryside, robbing the settlers of their thoughts. The sun has darkened my neck, and the dust has darkened my shoes. I'm a drifter, having occasional, short-lived, but passionate romances with the common ideas of the common folk. But when I'm still, I can feel my internal inferno burning for the companionship of words. I stand on the edge of something, looking into the depths of nothing. This is where I find myself, my test, and inspiration. Some may call it a meditation. For me, it's more like a conversation. It's simply the opening of oneself to oneself. It is to undress the ugliness of last year, the progress of the present. It is to dig in the graveyard of your youthful aspirations and excavate the decaying carcass of your ideal. I'm not a hero, and I'm going to die soon, so I may never be a hero and die the death of regular men. This compels me to the road again, running from home to home and back again. My friends, my only friends are these abstract ideas that entertain. My home is a place I must have seen but can't explain. I'm passing my time, passing for sane, passing the blame, left of myself but right to my name. But my only defense are these abstract ideas that entertain. I hope in a place that I've seen but can't explain. I just know that I've been home. I know that I felt once. At some time, at some place in my distant youth, I cried tenderly, loved intensely. But now I don't feel like my feelings remember me. My heart feels filled with November leaves tumbled by December breeze. April may never come. The groundhog stays in the ground with no desire to see the sun. I'm a vagabond, not a fugitive, so I don't live on the run. I live on a walk. The type of slow stroll that gives me some time to think, some time to breathe, just some time to get away from things, but I never seem to come back to things and forget what things I was getting away from and why. Perhaps my things have just died under my bed, or instead, they're building strength in a dark cloud over my head. Maybe they won't come to light until I'm older, or dead. I remind me of what this loner once said. He said, "You're born alone, you die alone." And I believed him, but who would want to lead the non-life that he led? I wasn't born alone. My mother was there. And I won't die alone. The angel of death will be there. But I will be alone before Allah when my book of deeds is disclosed, when my sins are exposed, the dark part of my heart that nobody knows. I won't have the comfort of company, not even the comfort of clothes. I stand naked and nervous before truth. I'm not a hero, and I'm going to die soon. So I may never be a hero and die the death of regular men. This compels me to the road again, running from home to home and back again, back again. Questions, comments, concerns?
Nice job.
Thank you very kindly. Thank you too. Yes?
What does the title mean?
The word vagabond. Vagabond means a person who's always traveling, kind of a person who's on a journey that's kind of never ending, kind of like a homeless traveling person. Yes.
All right, so what would you say to somebody who is, also a writer, who would like to be another Muslim voice in the world of poetry? What would you say in words of advice from your experience?
From my experience, did you guys hear the question? They like the question in the back. The little girls were clapping at your question. He was saying, what advice would you give to another young Muslim writer who would like to be a voice as well? I give the same advice to everyone. It's two things in my experience that are most effective. Number one is sincerity. To be absolutely as sincere as possible. The issue with sincerity, sometimes sincerity is scary. As an artist, particularly as a Muslim artist, sometimes you want to say what you think you should say as a Muslim, instead of saying what you really feel or what you really mean. which is necessary for art. Because otherwise it just sounds corny, you know what I mean? That's why a lot of like Muslim rap is corny. Because they're rapping about what they think they should rap about, instead of rapping about really what's happening inside of them. And so it sounds whack. It's not nice. A lot of it, in my opinion. It's not nice to listen to. So, to be sincere, that's number one. And number two is to work hard. So write, read, read, write, read, write, read. And most of the stuff that you write will be bad. But that's just how it goes. So you write all the bad stuff out till you get to that good poem. And you write a good poem, maybe 2 good poems in a row. And you're gonna write a bunch of bad stuff again, and then you write a good poem. And you're gonna write a bunch of bad stuff. So you just have to keep writing through all the bad poems to get to the good poems. But most people give up because the poems suck. My poems suck too, until I get to the good ones. And then you guys just hear those. I don't share the other ones. So that's what it is. Just write, read, read, and try your best to be sincere. Sincere as possible, truthful, honest as possible. Yeah. Anything else? Thank you. Anything else? Okay. I'll recite another poem then? Okay. She said that she will prefer a broken neck to another broken heart. Broken parts are lit in the night sky like stars. And I said, even the beauty of birth leaves its own scars. And know that you will find your home right where you are. She said, I know it seems cliche, but I really am just waiting to exhale. Just waiting to breathe easy, just waiting to inhale. She ain't waiting for no perfect man, she ain't holding out for Denzel, she's just looking for a real man. But most of the realists were in graves and in jail. Just a real man, even a flawed man that means well. An upright brother, but she's just left with low-down brothers, homo thugs, and down-low brothers. And it took her some time with herself to discover that having love is more important than having a lover. But what am I supposed to say? That it's going to be okay? But it may not be. It may be hard and ugly, difficult, complicated, rough and bloody. I said, so many women are struggling. She said, yeah, I'd like a man to kiss me, I'd like a man to hug me, but he's got to truly love before he can truly love me. I said, I feel you. She said, no, you're not feeling me. She said, we are women bringing up seeds. Our own sons grow up thinking love is a disease. Ducking and dodging real relationships and just learn to take what they please. And they treat pregnancy like an STD. If the test comes back positive, it's a negative. And they are ghosts in the street, drove in the wind, only a moment to spend, and those moments are brief. Our sons' role models are rolling stones, unknown or deceased. So in this cold war, they find warmth with men holding the heat. I said, there's gotta be a change. She said, yeah, it's gonna have to be more than poems on TV. So I feel you. She asked me how I survived. Said, by Allah, I was my mother. Otherwise, I would have been dead, crazy, and institutionalized. And often I wish I could have properly apologized for not really being able to thank her for giving me life. She always kept us in the good neighborhoods, even though she couldn't keep on the lights, so we could go to the best schools, learn to read and to write. And sometimes, she'd be so broke, in the store she would have to choose between the beans and the rice. So sometimes she would put ketchup on a navy bean so it seemed like we were in the same thing every night. 2 jobs during the day and 1 at night. And it's true that I saw her endure, I never wanted to see in my wife. So I know that being a man is more than being male, and I focus on doing it right. But when I think about my childhood, I don't think about poverty. I remember how she kissed me, taught me, hugged me, loved me, and I know you prefer a broken neck to another broken heart. Broken parts are lit in the night sky like stars. But remember, even the beauty of birth leaves its own scars. And know that you will find your home right where you are. We will find our home right where we are. Questions, comments, concerns? Everybody's okay? Okay. Just checking on you guys. You guys need, you know what I mean? Encouragement, you know what I'm saying? I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I'm your friend.
Oh, yes.
I really like
like that line that even the beauty of birth leaves its own scars. Could you elaborate on what your thought process was behind that?
Even the beauty of birth leaves its own scars. Really, that poem obviously was for women, and it's about my experience with my mother, about my experience as a husband, about my experience as a friend to a woman, where she is like kind of just sharing with me and kind of, you know, what the struggles are that she's enduring. And there's a real problem. This isn't answering your question directly, which I will, but generally the poem is about to give it a frame, is that there's a real problem with gender. It's not like a newsflash or anything. And there's a real issue with masculinity. It's like a forgotten art. And so, because of that deficiency, a lot of women are left without what they need. But what I was saying was this struggle that she's going through. It is a kind of labor. And from it will produce something, you know, produce life, you know, whatever it is, she will create a life for herself. And it may not be easy. So that's why I say, what am I supposed to say? It's going to be okay, but it may not be. It may be hard and ugly, difficult, complicated, rough and bloody. So the beauty of birth, it's beautiful, but it's rough and bloody and hard. And, you know, there's crying and there's screaming and there's pain and there's suffering, but it's like the most beautiful thing. So I was just, as a word of encouragement, saying even that beautiful thing requires blood, sweat, and tears. And likewise, what she was going through in her life, that she'll make it to the other side, but you know, she may have to deal with some blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Can you talk a little bit about masculinity and how like society defines it, and how we can combat what society teaches us?
Yeah, the thing about masculinity, that's like a whole nother talk. Like I have, it's something that's very interesting to me this day and age, just in popular culture, what masculinity is. What I find is that there's three main categories. There is the boy man, there is the man man, and there is the woman man. So the man man is, you know, what in my estimation is what we're saying is like the ideal. Sometimes there's like boy men who, because of their immaturity, and not because they're young, just because they're immature. So they might be 40, 50, 60, but just their minds haven't developed in such a way where their masculinity requires a lot of show. It requires a lot of, it's like exaggerated, hyper masculine energy that's always competing and showing itself. And then the other part is the woman man, which is like, it's funny because I've heard this definition mostly from women when they're describing it to me. It's like, you know, even when you're sitting next to like a man, like there's an energy. And it's not because of rah-rah or because of muscles or money or anything like that. It's an energy, something that is masculine energy that's coming from the person. That is deficient in a lot of ways, in my opinion, from what I've seen even during the short time that I've been alive. And what that is and why that is and everything, that would be a whole long, very controversial conversation. But what I can say is, what we have in the prophetic model is excellent, you know? And that's not news for necessarily anyone here. But in the prophetic model, I mean, you know, as the Lord says in the book that, you know, this is an excellent character that you can pattern yourself after. This is his function. He said that I didn't come except to perfect character. And in masculinity, likewise femininity is part of excellent character, and to be able to manifest both. So it's not so much about combating what one doesn't want, but more committing to what one does want. And that's what we find excellently in the prophetic model. Yeah. That's why seerah is really important. Even more than, well not more than, but in this particular instance, even different than just rulings, like verdicts and even just fiqh, but like learning about what it was in the daily practice, in the continuum, in the context. So that's why like the history and biography of the prophetic character is really super valuable. That was a long answer, but yeah. Anything else? Okay, I'm gonna recite another poem now. This poem, actually, in the introduction, she mentioned this poem. That's from an album called Dead Man Walking, and the poem is called Dead Man Walking. In this poem, as she was saying, that I was saying, that is a poem born out of desperation. So it has 4 reasons for being. Number 1 is a poem of desperation. Number 2 is a poem to remind those that would like to be reminded. Number 3 is to remind those that would like not to be reminded. Number 4 is to inform those that don't know. I'm a dead man walking, a mute man talking, a blind man watching my brothers die. And I've built our coffins much too often, and it gets so dark when our mothers cry. I know more than I want to, but not nearly enough. I thought I was writing for the love, but it just turned to be lust, and my trust in us was gullibility. The reality is just that I'm not who I was, nor who I will be, but sometimes I feel me visiting, and I fill me with the lush scent of soul, the flavor of feeling, a rush of color. I think the pleasure may kill me, the pressure squeezes and spills me into the language of the unseen, the unthought, and the undreamed. And my heart begins to pump the thick, rich fluid of verse, searching for a simple word or phrase to fill the phase between the white nurse and the black hearse. And I know sometimes my words lack worth, lack depth, lack girth, lack the distance to travel from heaven to earth, or from mind to brain, or from soul to flesh. I hold my breath and I hollow hope that my hopes ain't hollow. It's just a message in a bottle, or a genie in the bottle, or a baby in the bottle, or wino in his bottle. The symphony of me is stuck in staccato like a broken breakbeat, breaking the vinyl into bits of blackness, spinning in circles. Come down, selector. Last night the DJ took my life and left the speakers empty and the speakers speechless and the dancers still, dancing or not. They don't see our music as musing, merely amusing amusement. How could they know in basement booths we balance the nexus between the soul and the flesh is, where the science of intellect is? We rock genius like a necklace and drop jewels in gutters. But they fooled our mothers into thinking that they could raise sons in the darkness of night. But isn't the night always dark before the sun is raised? And when the sun is raised, doesn't he make the block hot, and the eyes squint, and the breasts sweat, and the trees grow, and the children play? The raised sun makes the pavement see the wavy apparitions, the mirage of future. But I know I'm a dead man walking, a mute man talking, a blind man watching my brothers die. And I've built our coffins much too often, and it gets so dark when our mothers cry. So now I'm walking a thin line between love and hate, between words that are spoken and beats that break. There's a thin line between the bullet in the chamber and the bullet in the brain. I'm civilized, sane with a little savage in me. It's not a little savage in me, it's a lot of passion in me. And sometimes the soul rules out of control without a glass of Henny. And some niggas are fine with being slaves just as long as master's friendly. And others spit fire at mass until the Mac is empty. You don't need to pass a semi to see the assassin in me. But know that no soul is taken accidentally. The angel of death has an itinerary. It snatch you right out of your Bentley, right out of your Gucci jeans, and right out of your Fendi, right out of your dashiki, and right out of your Kenti. Allah has written in his book, and there's no erase the pen's ink. So why do we ignore what God knows and rely on what men think? We're just boys in the back street trying to get in sync. But my balance is off. My talent is lost. I've married my aunt, but she's barren, of course, and I can hear in her voice that we're nearing divorce. So before I hear him get caught, I may have to kill my dreams and bury the corpse. I shed a tear for the loss. I feel like I'm bearing the cross, but my conception is so far from immaculate. For the most part, we're a bunch of bastard kids. Our fathers are gone, caught in the psychocidal masochist because our lives are dead wrong. But resurrected like Lazarus because our mothers are strong. And our romance is about as romantic as the master's kiss, but we have got to move on. And our lives are about as painful as the master's whip, but we have got to move on. And I wish I could just sing for justice, but I know no such song. I know about Shahada, Salah, and Quran, Jihad, martyrdom, and homemade bombs. And sure, they're gonna say I'm wrong for talking about homemade bombs, but a leader of the free world can drop A-bombs and napalm and got enough to ask why did they hate us when they still got the blood on their palms, when they stayed long and sang songs about freedom and justice all bloody day long. They claim to live right, but they have got to be dead wrong. And me just because I'm so young and headstrong, but right now I'm ready to run headlong into enemy fire with like with desire death. I just got the same blood that pumps through a lion's chest. I come from a line of warriors that take off their iron vest, unsheathe their swords, and spread to the thick of the mess. So I am begging them now, send me your best. There's only two possible outcomes. One, I can send them to rest, or two, they can send me to my Lord. I like the second one the best, but I'll kill the killers and live and settle for less, because I'm already a dead man walking, a mute man talking, a blind man watching my brothers die. And I've built our coffins much too often, and I won't take part in, I'd rather die. Yes, sir.
So a lot of writers rely on some sort of like catchphrase or gimmicks and time starts to make their poems compelling. I found each one of your poems, you didn't need to do that. I was already listening to your words. What advice do you have? What is the process like? How do you get there when you hit that momentum?
You mean in the performance or the writing?
Both. Well, more in the writing.
In the writing? Well, as much of what I said to the brother next to you was trying your best to be sincere and as naked as possible. Try to lay off as much pretense and the preservation of your reputation or the preservation of your ego, to leave it off as much as you can, and to write from your heart. When you write from your heart and you speak from your heart, then it'll find its destination in the listener's heart. But if you only write from your head, then it'll only reach their head. If you only speak from your tongue, it'll only reach their ear. So dig as deep as possible and write from that. That has been my experience. So I'm just going to read one more. What time is it right now?
9:20.
Okay. What, you had a question?
I have a question. That was a very strong piece. So what was your inspiration behind that?
Well, the 4 reasons that I gave at the beginning, poem of desperation, and what I meant by that is, you know, most of you are familiar with the prophetic narration. It says, do not dishonor yourselves. O Messenger of Allah, how we would dishonor ourselves? By seeing an evil act and not changing it with your hands. And if you cannot, then condemn it with your tongue. And if you cannot, then hate it in your heart. And this is the weakest level of faith. So, this was written, actually not a time, it's not much different than this time, but just America's at war, and there's just the civilian life is just being taken at a tremendous rate in different parts of the world in general, and the Muslim world in particular. And I don't know a way to stop it with my hands. And even sometimes not even to be able to find the words. even if it impacts me. Like say, for example, the Trayvon, I don't even know what to call it, a scandal, a situation, whatever it is. That is something that's in my heart, but I haven't been able to find a language to express yet. But even hating it in your heart, feeling it, sometimes even that seems to be too much. Because like, how can you feel for everything? It's like your heart will collapse. And that's the weakest level of faith. So just to care. So I care about Sudan, I care about Iraq, I care about Palestine, I care about Somalia, I care about the whales, the rainforest, I care about Trayvon, I care about the prison industrial complex, I care about my mama, I care about AIDS, I care about so much to care, it feels like the heart will just collapse on itself. So we try not to care, just in order to preserve our sanity. So a person just wants to go to work, go to school, come home, watch some videos, go to sleep, get up, go to school, go to work, come back, watch some videos, YouTube, Facebook, go to sleep, Twitter, school, work. Like that's just to keep oneself sane because it's too much. It's too much. It's unbearable. Ya Latif, it's unbearable. So, say this is a poem of desperation, being desperate just to care enough to say something. And then it's inform, to remind people that want to be reminded, because there's some people that would like to be woken, to be awake. And then for those who would like not to be reminded, there's some people that don't want to be awake, but I'm going to remind them anyway. And then there's some people that just don't know. Because there's so many horrible things happening in the world. Every time you turn around, there's some travesty that's been going on for the last 50 years in some corner of the earth, and they've been eating people or something. There's some lunacy going on somewhere. Or in Florida, or in New York, or in Oakland, or wherever. And to care is unbearable. And not to mention the stuff that's going on in your own life, you know what I'm saying? So that's where the poem came from. And it also makes me think of something else, that be nice to people, you know? Because people are suffering. Even people that you don't see the suffering in their life. Like you don't see this, they look like they have things together. But so many people cry themselves to sleep over so many different things. Everyone is suffering, everyone is battling, everyone is in a fight for their life. And it may seem small to me, or my issues may seem small to them, but for me, they're my whole life. It's my whole life. So be nice. If you can make somebody smile, or feel pretty, or feel happy, or feel good, even if it's for a minute or 2 minutes or a second or 15 minutes, you know, that's a good investment to make in a person, to make them feel good, because life is short and hard. Okay, I should read another poem now. Okay, this will be my last poem, and then actually I have to like leave right away, so I have to walk from the stage right out to the car. So I don't want you guys to think that I'm being rude, but I just have another destination, okay? So I'll just read one more and then I'll go. That was the part where you guys are supposed to be like, oh, just one more. Let's try it again. Hold on. So, you know, I gotta get ready to go, so I'm just gonna read one more poem and then I'm gonna go. I know, but I have to. Alright. Are there any more questions before I read the last one? Any more questions, comments, and concerns? You guys have been joy. Yeah.
I just kind of want to talk to people afterwards.
If you could do it while walking to the car, do it while walking.
Okay.
Anyone else that wants to talk afterwards, we can do it while walking. Okay.
Can I do it while you're walking?
Yeah. We're going to have like a whole little jamaat to the car. And then we're all walking and talking. She asked, where is the truth hidden? I laughed, not because she asked, but because as I'm living, I'm learning that the truth is hidden everywhere. Literally everywhere. There is no place you can scour, search, or visit except the truth is in it. The truth is hidden even in the question, where is the truth hidden? In truth, the truth isn't hidden. It can't be hidden. It is the true and living. Those that are seeking to hide the truth try to convince me and you that they hid it, but they didn't. It is not that truth isn't being spoken, we may not be ready to listen. Certainly we are not ready to listen. And you may be at home in my poem, and if not, you may just visit. And if you can't visit, maybe you shouldn't listen. I mean, my poetry is not for everyone. It's no navy blue, Yankee fitted. In fact, it's highly acidic, enough to burn for the mind of a critic. Why be a cynic? When we're moving beyond the speed of light, there is no difference between time and distance. Such I am both here and there in the same instant. For instance, I am both man and infant, both devil and angel. I am both the witness and the witness, both monk and misfit. I am the medicine of this sick. And if you would like to know what the truth is, and I wrote down the answer, which is the axis of the seven senses, and I told sis, hold this close to your heart until your soul sits still in a summer solstice. She said, I can't keep my soul still, it's hard to hold my focus. She said, I've noticed and I can't seem to focus on any real goals, I can only focus on what's closest. She said, how do you know what your goal is? And I said, I don't. How does one save the souls of the soulless? An eviction notice stapled to the heart of the heedless, souls left homeless, no place to reside in, so they hide out and slide in the bodies of two-eyed men. So my lyricism is an exercise in exorcism, but the exoteric call it esotericism. I learned jihad from Rumi. The Sunni call me Shia, the Shia call me Sufi. The feds I have WMDs for what I do with the loose leaf, because what I do with the loose leaf make devils lose sleep. And I don't care who's on whose demon. I follow the one who ascended the seven heavens and lands on 2 feet. And it may be too deep, but it is only by his light that you can see through me. And if by his light we have sight, then what is the meaning of day and what is the meaning of night? And I would like not to say that I'm living at night, but I'm living very late asr. Inal insan lafi husn. Rough translation, I'm a loser. I aim to block his light, yet claim to follow his sunnah. The truth is, I wish I could sing so I could mask the bitter truth with sweet melody. Unfortunately for both you and me, I only know how to speak straight, with direct diction that doesn't allow for mistakes. She said, but you speak so whole, why the beat breaks? It's so ill, it's so real. I said, it's so real, but I'm so fake. She said, but you sound so sure. I said, Ma, that's the point, I'm not sure. I'm barely afloat in the sea without shore. And if you've seen what I saw, then you will certainly know that certainty without flaw is often delusion and no certainty at all. And when it is certainly certainty, it is like the drunken monk, a man so on his square, looking at any moment he will fall. But he never falls. And at that moment she paused and began to recite Vagabond. I was surprised she immediately memorized the whole poem. She said, if I'm a traveler in this world, then where do I find home? I say, just keep your nose to the grindstone. Tell your mind to never mind the unknown. This is why I rhyme like the Spirit of God is in my poem, because in the beginning there was the Word, and before that there was the unheard, the unseen. There was nothing past but the present. There was nothing past the past but the present. Just as the moon begins with the crescent, it seems that way, but in that there is the lesson. The whole moon's always present. 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 Sallallahu. Thank you. Thank you very kindly for your time and your energy. You guys have been a wonderful audience. I pray everything is good with you. And now I'm going to depart rather abruptly and rudely, but I pray that you forgive me. Say yes, please. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Thank you everybody for coming out for a great event. No, I'm not going to. I have a poem, but I don't think they're here for me, they're here for you, so.
You're going to read the poem.
Should I do the poem?
Yes, thank you.
Performing this poem, I wrote it months ago, and this is my first time looking at it in months, so I apologize ahead of time. It's called Futile to Infinite. Futile words. My words, futile. My actions, the same. torn to pieces, yet not so in your eyes. You see me even through my disguise, my smile broken, my heart the same. Lost, a wanderer longing for your acceptance. You shed light even in the sunrise's absence. My love, infinite, my words the same, slowly pieced together, only by your mercy forgiven. From futile to infinite words of your perfection, I am brightened, infinite words. Thank you. The real point of me getting up here was to say thank you for coming out. I would just thank you. You did a great job, and I think it's time to pray soon. So have a great night, everybody. Thank you for coming out.